Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Evolved Parenting. I'm going to be talking about things other than parenting in the next few videos relating to permaculture, time banking, structures of organization. So as I attempt to talk about many different domains at once, I hope I don't overwhelm or confuse people, but these things are all connected. So what we're talking about is applying these permaculture principles to parenting, education, time banking, organizations, inclusive leadership, and improved communication in order to promote human empathy and unity. And the main thing I want to stress in this first video, it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. It's why are you driven to speak? Are you coming from the heart? I got contacted recently by a parenting expert who has been on TV and has high-priced programs. I'm not really charging a lot of money for what I'm doing right now. So it was nice to get his email and his appreciation for my contribution. And when people reach out to me to work together, or if they want some help in the realm of parenting or other systems I'm going to talk about, what's most important to me is why they're doing what they're doing, or what their attitude is in relationship to the struggle that they're facing. Because it's all about intention. To me, that's the bottom line. And secondly, are you trapped in the mind? You may have a good intention, but if you're trapped in the mind, then the work becomes to connect to the heart, to see what it is that you're running away from, or how the mind is shielding you. The mind can come up with lots of great ideas, but unless it's felt in the heart, then it's not very useful. And at times people are just trying to polish the self-image. I'm not saying this individual was doing that at all. I'm just saying that whenever you're putting yourself out in the public sphere, whether it is in the realm of being an expert, or in terms of trying to create a progressive system like a time bank, or reorganizing capitalism to be more enlightened, or revamping an education system by starting a progressive school, any of those things, it's really important. And for me, when I give talks, it's how much of my effort or attention is toward the mind, and how much is it towards sort of making myself look good. And we do this in everyday life too, certainly with parenting. If the children are seen as a reflection of us, we may get more reactive than we need to be. So the description I'm going to give you guys on the next slide of time banking and evolved parenting and these progressive systems are secondary to the context and preparing an audience to receive it openly. So evolved parenting, it's just basically a parenting from the heart. And from consciousness, which is why I talk about spirituality a lot in the videos. Now, time banking, that's a pay-it-forward barter network. It's a progressive system, and in the other videos I'll talk more about that. Holacracy, it's power sharing rather than the CEO being on top. You share the power throughout groups inside the company. And you can see how that can relate to parents who want to be very strict and don't understand that you need to have a child feel empowered if they're going to grow up to be empowered in their lives. So, but unless there's a motivation, appreciation, and context for all these things I'm talking about, then they're just concepts and they're not going to manifest. That's why I make so many videos, in the hopes that eventually people who may be resistant can be won over. So here's one of the contexts I talk a lot about. It's spiral dynamics. These are the stages we go through. If you're interested in knowing more about it, I think I'll just have to have you contact me, because that could take up a whole video. But basically, these are just different stages of consciousness. But at the higher stages of consciousness, or I don't want to say higher as in better, but more integrated, where you've integrated these shadow elements of yourself, or these more immature impulses, then you're going to be drawn to things like evolved parenting, time banking, holacracy, power sharing. We all know about Maslow context. You need to be higher up on the Maslow context. If you're so struggling to get belongingness and loving needs, you're sort of on the bottom of the pyramid, and then you're not as open to progressive systems because you're so busy trying to get your belongingness and love from something else, from some object, from some organization, from some person, or from some possession. And so, in the realm of bringing your expertise to the world, if you're doing so, and you see a lot of celebrities, if you're doing so in order to get belongingness and love, as opposed to being a servant to others, then you're not going to be able to. You may be able to talk about the concepts, but you won't be able to embody them. Again, I'm not making a comment on anyone who's contacted me. It's allowing me to riff on this presentation I gave yesterday. So, but the point is, in terms of progressive parenting, or in terms of time banking, or in terms of holacracy, this organizational sharing, enlightened capitalism, if you're still trying to get belonging and love from others, you may be a very good preacher, but you will not be converted yourself. So for the evolved forms, you have to be higher up on the pyramid. So it's a yoga mindset for evolved parenting, for time banking, for new organizational structures where you're empowering other people, whether you're doing leadership that's more inclusive. Without the yogic view, the stuff I'm talking about and these kind of concepts seem unrealistic, naive, or unattractive. If a parent is stuck in the punishment or the reward and punishment mindset, then they're not going to be drawn to thinking this stuff can work. And so that is what a lot of our work has to do with, is really very pure spiritual work and not directly associated with the content of parenting or these other systems. So there's tension between those levels in the spiral. Again, email me if you're not familiar with spiral dynamics. And there's ego resistance to any kind of unification. We have this drive to be independent, but we also have this drive to unify. So we have maps like spiral dynamics. I'll talk about Jung in a later video, and techniques like nonviolent communication, play, and what's most important to me these days is the breath. But I think another way to shift your thinking is that parenting, these maps I'm talking about, these techniques, permaculture even, time banking, they can be the excuse and opportunity and invitation to unify. In other words, we're confronted by these things and they're not, it's not about those things, they're just ways to get us into the unification mindset. They're a means to an end. No, they could be a means to an end, but I'm saying they're, rather than a means to an end, the means themselves are the end. The journey is the destination. The methods are the end goal. Marshall McLuhan, you may have learned, talks about the medium is the message, like TV or computers, that's the message. No, yeah, but I'm talking about the method that you're using, that itself is the message. So how we do something is more important than what we do. That's kind of the simplistic way of saying it, and I think it covers it pretty much. Are we coming from the heart or not? So this is what I'm really into these days, offering the inhaling breath into the exhaling breath, and offering the exhaling breath into the inhaling breath. This is very difficult for me when I'm talking on YouTube, trying to cram a lot of information in, which is why I'm going to break this up into a lot of videos. And when I gave this talk yesterday here in Austin, I just had to rush through it a bit, and I wasn't able to fully embody this. And that's a challenge with parenting, when you're doing progressive systems, when you're in corporate America, is how to find that time to breathe, just to breathe, offering the inhaling breath into the exhaling breath, offering the exhaling breath into the inhaling breath. It may not even make total sense to you, but if you try it for a while, you'll see there are incredible benefits to it. And this is how the yogi neutralizes the breaths and releases life force from the heart and brings life force under his control. It's a little bit dominant masculine language in the Bhagavad Gita, but essentially it boils down to, if you slow your thoughts, but you're having trouble slowing your thoughts, then slow the breath. That will slow the thoughts. If your breath is quick, so are your thoughts. If the breath is slow, so are your thoughts. It's really very simplistic, but it actually works. So the breath exchange, I'm saying the breath exchange is parenting, is the time exchange, time banking, is holacracy, is enlightened capitalism and leadership, is progressive education. They're all expressions of the same thing. We act like, oh, the breath is a technique to allow me to do those things. I'm suggesting they're all the same thing. So if you feel bored or confused or excited or intrigued as you go through this series, what I'm recommending is you return to the breath and see what it's doing. Is it shallow? Is it guarded? Is it small? And that's why I do a lot of guided meditations, because I think it's really just about changing our mindset before we even get into the content. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. But I guess I should answer this one question. How can I say that these things are all the same thing? These polar opposites in life, this in and out, I am suggesting that we can put them in supportive, devoted partnership with each other. So life is offering itself to death, right? We're programmed in ourselves to die. Death is offering itself to life. If it didn't happen, we'd have overpopulation. Viruses are devoted to sexual reproduction and insofar as that they are competing with us and we are competing with them, and so we're both evolving due to that. Similarly, if you have stress in your parenting life or in your organization or in meaningfulness in your life, these are all pressure points to get us to evolve. Insofar as this, I'm saying also that fear and desire can be offered into love. Just like the in-breath can be offered into the out-breath, fear and desire can be offered into love. They are expressions, although perhaps less manifested, less embodied, less loving, but they are love. So we have this typical polarity called give and take, right? And this is the parenting approach that a lot of people are using because it's what we've been taught. But that whole language causes an obligation. We're using rewards and punishment to get our children to do what we want them to do. So what I'm suggesting is we move beyond the voluntary and involuntary, that mindset that if we want to do time banking, if we want to have holacracy, if we want to have evolved parenting, if we want to have evolved capitalism, we're moving beyond the give and take. It's talking about loving surrender. So the two phrases that I learned from a man who lives in France, I forgot his name, take support and allow support to be taken. So the child is taking support from you and you're allowing that support to be taken. You are taking support from the child and the child is allowing that support to be taken. In this dynamic, which again I could talk for an hour about, we are really shifting the game. So this is just the beginning. I'm going to have a whole bunch more videos on this subject matter. Unless I decide not to, but I think that's what I'm going to do. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. You can subscribe at evolveparenting.com. We do have guided meditations, but they're very inexpensive. My main objective is to just get this stuff out there and not turn it into a grandiose business. But who knows? If someone wants to help me turn it into a grandiose business, it's fine. I mean, I'm really just trying to be in this space of polarity where I'm embracing both the in and out. And I think that's where peace comes. If we have any preconceived notions about either what we're going to talk about in a presentation or how we're going to manifest these ideas in the world, I think we get stuck. So what I'm trying to do is be as present as possible. So thanks for listening. The guided meditations are at betruelove.com, and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you can subscribe at evolveparenting.com. Thanks for listening.